Joining us now to discuss is former FBI agent Jonathan Gilliam, who is also the author of Sheep No More, the book series Sheep No More, and host of the daily podcast, The Experts, and several books out there. Our panelists are back, Bobby Eberle, Scott Walker as well. Good to see you over here. Jonathan, thanks so much for coming on. I just want to jump right in. Were the DOJ and the FBI prepared when the issue of mail-in voting surfaced before the election, mass mail-in voting?
Well, the FBI is always prepared. The problem is that the senior executives in the FBI they're not interested. So that's really what everybody needs to concentrate on. In 1978, in the Civil Service Reform Act, the Senior Executive Service was created in the federal government. And I would love for everybody to go look that up and then ask the question, why was it needed? And it was basically what it was is it created an entire section of management in the United States government that basically capitulates to politics. And these are careerists that, on the whole, there's some good people that are in this position, but on the whole, these are people that won't make waves, and the last thing we'll ever do is go after each other. So the FBI, and I talked to plenty of people before this started, as soon as they heard mail-in ballots, and then they heard that those ballots are going to be sent to the residents, whether they request them or not, they knew that the fix was in, and the FBI could have been investigating that from the very beginning.
Bring Jonathan back in. Jonathan, if you can't, just explain for our viewers to understand, because yes, this plays out in the court of law, and that's what's happening here in several different states. But then there's this question of, when does the FBI get involved? If there is indeed proof that widespread fraud was there, if something is proved that something happened with Dominion or the votes were stolen or changed, when does the FBI get involved? When do they start investigating, or is that happening now?
Well, if it's happening, it's not happening on a full investigation for the whole voting system and how this has been widespread. I can tell you right now that if this was an actual investigation done the right way, they would be looking at, then remember this phrase, the totality of the circumstances. Because when you look at all the things that have been displayed since the day on November 3rd, and all the things that were very questionable, and the way that these votes came in, and the way the machines crashed in certain locations, and the way the vote was tallied, the way that it was that watchers weren't allowed to watch. All these things, when you look at the totality of the circumstances, you definitely know from an investigative standpoint that there was something going on here. And I believe it rises to the level of a federal investigation. I don't see that. I don't see the FBI involved in this capacity. I don't see the DOJ involved in this capacity. And the problem really here is that this is like going in and trying to investigate the mob after they've been working in New York City for 50 or 100 years. We have a real problem here, and we should have been looking at this over the past 4 years before we got to this investigation.
Yeah, and just